Grappling with Podcast. Dr. Chris Hardy and William Walker will take a deep dive into topics covering wellness and prevention, performance, recovery, and injury management.
Still forgetting
Our mission
the
is
shower.
to provide the latest science-based information to help you get the most out of your grappling journey, both on and off the mat.
It's at least twice weekly.
Any challenges you may be grappling with.
You hit me on a
Dr.
good
Hardy
day.
is a
Today is a
licensed
clean
physician
day.
and
I don't
BJJ
even wanna see
practitioner.
that
The
loofah.
contents of the podcast are meant for educational purposes
Did you take
only
a shower,
and
Bill?
should not be taken as medical advice. Please seek out personalized care from
yet.
your own medical provider prior to implementing any medical treatment or intervention.
Bill is a licensed buffoon.
Mm.
He says things that are a little squirrely. Do
Good
not
timing.
hold these things against his gym mates, his family, Chris Hardy, Harry Hardy, or anybody at his gym.
I
Great.
was rolling my eyes that whole
Yeah,
time.
great segue.
For the audio listeners.
And making an ugly face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Only one I got, bro.
I know, man. How's it going?
You know what? I'm all right. I'm a little upset. I ate
You-
an ice cream sandwich in bed last night.
That's one of the signs of
You know what?
That's depression.
I saw some like chocolate crumbs on like our chair, and I was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh, Bill had an ice cream sandwich, and he smeared it on the chair."
So the local co-op has these really good ice cream sandwiches. I don't remember what they're called, but I'm saying like they're this big. Like,
So for the listeners,
yeah, probably
doubles. Let's see, what is that?
It's a
That's like a 4-inch diameter circle you're
solid
making?
4.
Yeah.
And then it's actual like cookie, top and bottom. It's not like a name brand. I've only seen it at the co-op.
Okay.
And then the amount of ice cream in the sandwich is nice and thick, like a good 1.5 inch, 2 inch
okay.
of pure ice cream. And I just gummed that thing down while I was red lighting.
You gummed it down
Yeah, I did.
with your gums.
Yeah.
So not a lot of
Weird.
chewing.
There's a lot of suckling.
Oh, jeez.
Gross, Bill.
So what was your point? You're having a rough time, and that
Yeah.
was your kind of emotionally eating?
Yeah, I felt like a fat turd.
So then you ate an ice cream sandwich?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had a full glass of limeade. I
Like-
pretty much just sugared up before bed.
Like as the English say, proper limeade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a
Not sugar-free crap?
no.
That's what I'm saying.
It was once again from the co-op. Matt's, I think, is the brand.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's no sugar added. Tastes great.
No sugar added.
Yeah.
Okay. How much sugar is in it, though?
A lot.
That's hilarious, though.
a lot of stevia.
We didn't add any sugar, but
But it comes with
it
it.
comes with a bunch.
Which I don't even know how that works.
Yeah.
It's a marketing ploy.
Instead of, yeah. Actually, speaking of marketing ploys, we're going to talk about a little something in the nutritional industry
Oh, nice.
later
Boy, I like that.
when it comes down to that.
You know, I don't have a rant for that at all.
Yeah. But you'll have to mind your P's and Q's because it is about our friends over at Origin.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't get your ass kicked.
I'll try not to. I try not to offend Jocko anytime I can.
America. So I came to you and I said, you know what? I think we need to open up to the people a little bit. Let them know who they're dealing with because they might be confused. And I wanted to know a time that you put your foot in your mouth. And because, believe it or not, I've done this before. And I think it would help people just to hear a nice, humbling story about all of us. Now, I know you were like, dude, I've done that like 1,000 times.
I just can't remember specifics. But
Alzheimer's kicks in. A lot of those memories start to dissipate.
I really watched my speech while I was in the military for quite a while.
Right. So there's some missed opportunities there.
Yeah, but I do have do embarrassing stories count
Yeah.
that are somewhat humorous?
I'll allow it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a good one.
I mean, I can imagine if I opened up the book to be like, when was a time that Carrie made you blush to the point that you want to run to your car? You'd probably just be like, well, on Saturday she was talking about my testicles in front of everybody.
Yeah. That was just this week.
That was
Yeah.
48 hours ago.
It wasn't long ago at all. But that doesn't really faze me anymore.
Right. You
At
just
all.
turn a little red and
No, I like watching other people's reaction. I'm like, here we go.
yeah, as you sit there with your like legs spread
Yeah, it's pretty funny,
as
actually.
she's talking about your satchel.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. By the way, not work or family safe today.
Potentially not.
Yeah.
So why don't you let the people know Do you have a little?
Yeah, I have a story.
Okay.
You know how old people like to tell stories.
Oh yeah.
So back when I was young, we're talking a long time ago.
Yeah.
What, as if he's never been young, Bill?
Well, I'm just saying.
So this was
biblical.
1994.
Okay.
I was 24 years old.
Solid.
Okay. I was a military diver at the time. And we would get jobs to do kind of some cool stuff. One of them was we had to go down to New Orleans for 2 months to work with U.S. Customs. Nolans, exactly. And our job was to search the bottom of these big cargo ships because allegedly the Jamaican Coast Guard was putting these little, we call them parasitic containers. They would attach containers to the bottom of these ships filled with drugs. They would come up into the refinery ports here in Louisiana, and then someone would go down with dive gear and pull them off and get these waterproof containers out that were full of drugs. So somehow the customs caught on to this, and so they kind of contracted us, so to speak, requested our assistance because we're in the military.
Was stuff that you would do sometimes like inspections? And
Very much so.
Okay.
Some of them are, we did a lot of inspection type work for the military, but and for the Corps of Engineers and other things. But this was what in the military we call a boondoggle. In other words, very little work and a lot of fun.
Okay.
Okay, so we had a scuba team go down there, 6 of us. And I was still, a young man, young diver. And they put us up in this little, it wasn't a hotel, it was a bunch of apartments at a yacht club. Okay. And we each got a room. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Right?
Not a bad gig.
Yeah. And
could have a couple young sailors visit you.
So, and we'd worked out of that 2 months, we probably worked about 2 weeks.
Okay.
Because we'd get intel, we'd have to have a ship come in, and then the customs guys, hey, we got something coming in. We'd take a boat out and go out and search the ship while it was still, they'd have to shut their engines down and drift, and we would search before they got into the refineries.
Yeah.
Anyway, we allegedly, I'm saying this, I should take the fifth on this, we're using dive gear to clean the bottom of some of the yachts at the yacht club for some cash. Which would, if it would have happened, would have been misappropriation of government equipment.
It was an idea.
The idea was there that hypothetically one could have done that. Right. And one could have accumulated quite a bit of cash into a drinking money.
Or drug money.
No, we weren't doing that. We got we're in the military. We got
that's
tested.
right.
Yeah, you
that's
can't
right.
do that.
Yeah.
So, you could say we'd probably have a couple $1,000s in the pot to go have fun with,
94.
right? And and not really work that whole while we were down there. Well, we would go to casinos like to Biloxi, Mississippi, which wasn't that far away. Drink a lot. Have a government rental van that we have, we had rented.
Yeah.
And one night in particular, one of my buddies, can't say any names,
Sure.
Got really, really drunk.
Okay.
And we came back, and we'd already kind of got in trouble before then with we lost a guy down in New Orleans for about a week that had hooked up with a stewardess, didn't bother telling anybody, so we almost had to report him as missing. And so there's some shenanigans. We're already on thin ice.
Yeah.
And the way these apartments were set up, they're in this kind of they surrounded a courtyard, and they had multiple floors. So if you can imagine, if you walked out of your apartment to the railing, you could look down onto the central courtyard. And there are 3 or 4 floors like this, all open, so you could see across the other way. Well, this was Sunday evening, by the way, and people live here and have to work, right? So I brought this guy who's completely drunk. We had to help him into his room, kind of throw him into a shower. He'd thrown up on himself, and it's disgusting, right? Yeah. Anyway. Well, we thought I was good. I was like, oh, gosh, this was back when Star Trek The Next Generation was out and stuff. So I got back to my room. I'm like, Sunday night, yes. Ooh. Watch some TV. Yeah. All of a sudden, knock on my door. I'm like, oh, no. I open it. It's my buddy soaking wet just in his towel.
Okay.
And I'm like, dude, you got to go back in there. And he starts making a lot of noise. You know, people start peeking their heads out that live there and have to work for a living.
That much noise.
A lot of noise.
Okay.
He was like, well, I don't have to get, you know, how drunk people are, but it was echoing through the courtyard. And all of a sudden, in the tussle to get him back to his room, the towel comes off. And then he wraps himself around one of the railings naked and starts singing. And people were starting to walk out. I'm like, we're already on thin ice.
Yeah.
I have to make a decision.
Uh-oh.
So I grab him.
Butt naked.
Yep.
Both
throw
of you?
him. Nope, just me.
You're just naked?
No, I have clothes on.
Oh, he's naked.
Yes. I throw him over my shoulder and run him across the way into his room. And one of our buddies who was on the floor before, who can see up, in the morning says, last thing I saw was Chris with bleep, I won't say his name, carrying him on his shoulder naked, running into his room. And I didn't live that down for quite a bit because it looked pretty weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's anticlimactic or not, but it was.
You went
fairly,
full Forrest Gump.
I had to.
Yeah.
I felt like I took one for the team.
You had to carry Bubba all the way back, butt naked though.
Yeah. So that was, you know, it looked, you know,
Did you pee on him or anything?
I didn't
punish him.
Oh, yeah. After the fact,
Yeah.
I made his life a little bit of hell for the next week or so. But
how's that embarrassing for you?
Because I was running with a naked dude on my shoulder, out of context. It looked a little.
Touche.
Okay, and it's 1994.
Right. Okay. And then the people, when they see you the next morning, they're like, "That's the guy that got a male prostitute."
Right.
That's you.
And my buddy was a good-looking dude.
Didn't need to know that.
I'm just saying, you know, that didn't add to it, you know, because you know, otherwise I could say, he could have probably done better than that guy.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
You're like one of those guys when you like wonder sometimes if Brad Pitt wanted to kiss you, would you do it?
No, I haven't, but I see where you're going with it. It hasn't crossed my mind.
Like how hard does he have to try
No.
to, like, for you to just give in a little bit?
No. No, but I see where you're going with it. No,
I'm just saying, like, you wonder that sometimes.
No, I really don't, but that's okay if you do. It's kind of funny, though.
Okay.
But anyway, yes. So, you know, the look wasn't the best. I don't know how embarrassing. It was a little embarrassing.
I think it's a little embarrassing. You had a piece of man meat.
And I had to, you know, then the more you try to explain what happened, they're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're fumbling.
Yeah, you're just like.
I don't know if that was even me. You start throwing that stuff out there.
So, yeah, that was a pretty fun diver story.
Yeah, that sounds like an interesting trip also.
And we won't even talk about feeding the alligators.
Okay.
But that was fun, too.
Did you came out of that trip unscathed? Not in trouble or anything?
Oh, we were in trouble.
Oh, you got in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got in trouble.
Yeah. The whole town knew.
No, when we went back up to our unit, we kind of got the, you know, like the look from our superiors, like, I'm really disappointed with you guys.
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty tight-knit,
right,
pretty cool unit, but they were like, guys.
You guys, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah.
Well, on that tone of disappointment, that's kind of a good segue to mine that I had. And, oh, how dare you?
I know.
How dare you get a phone call?
What did that link to? That was weird. Did that go to that computer?
I didn't see anything.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was ringing.
Sorry, dude.
Or maybe it was just the watch ringing.
No, something was weird. Sorry about that.
Yeah, or maybe iPad.
That's probably what it was. Sorry about that.
It's okay. First time for everything.
This is my wellness monitor, and now it betrayed me.
Does that mean you're dying?
Perhaps. That was the ER calling, like, just, we got a bed for you, dude. Just come on in.
So on disappointment, it's a good segue. Because this is a time that Olivia had tremendous disappointment in me.
I don't know this.
You'll remember. So there was a guy that we had befriended, and I think it was maybe I knew him through some work stuff, and then we went golfing once, and that was cool. And then we decided to go to a restaurant just for like lunch. And Olivia came out with me. And so I've met this guy maybe 5 times now, and we're just going out to lunch to have a good conversation.
Okay.
And you know me. I'm a little bit of a silly goose. I'll say some things here and there that when I start going off the cuff, it's kind of hard to know where things are going.
How long ago was this?
Probably like 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not that bad. I was going to say if it was younger, I'd like maybe your filter's gotten better.
No. No, it's potentially worse.
I was going to say it
Okay.
might be worse now.
So,
I don't actually know this. I can't.
yeah. So what happened was we're out to lunch, and I'm just kind of free going. I think I had a beer at that point. So it was more than 4 years. It was probably 6 years. Yeah, probably 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I was young, and we're kind of just enjoying conversation, and I decided to throw out there, like I was telling him a story about how like sometimes I'm just, I do kind of dumb stuff, and I was like, sometimes I'm just a little aspy, well, that's all it is. And I just threw that out there, and he goes, oh, aspy, huh? What do you mean? I'm like, like I got Asperger's, I threw in a little kind of noise, if you will, like,
Which isn't Asperger's.
not as much.
No.
That goes more down a different line.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Asperger's, it's, it's kind of like a mental condition. I was educating him on what Asperger's was.
When you don't know.
Right. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know my brother has Asperger's, my younger brother. And then I just look at Olivia and go, I am sorry about everything and anything I say. And he just kind of like stared at me. We didn't have lunch again after that.
Weird.
I don't even remember that.
We're at a little bar in Bellevue, and we're just having like burgers. And I said the thing about being aspy, and then he said his brother has Asperger's.
Well, why were you thinking in Bellevue of all places? That's
where I work.
I know, but it's kind of a PC place. You know what I mean?
I let my guard down.
Okay.
I let my guard down.
Yeah.
Fool me once, shame on
It's on the spectrum, by the way.
you.
Yeah.
I actually trained with someone with Asperger's at Johns Hopkins.
Did you call it aspy?
No. She was brilliant. She just had some problems interacting socially with some people.
See, and I
They call it neurodivergent now.
Okay, that's fake.
She talked about it openly. She was like, I just can't connect with people.
Which I get what it is.
Yeah.
I understand. But if I can be made fun of for having a slightly larger hairline, I can make fun of you for not knowing how to talk to people.
Larger or shorter hairline?
Yeah.
I don't know,
Okay.
to be honest. I don't know if it's larger or shorter.
Yeah.
I think the hairline would be
And I think people that have some sort of issue, maybe you're an amputee, right? Maybe you got high blood pressure. Maybe you got Asperger's.
Maybe you're bald.
Maybe you're bald. Maybe
Yeah.
you're going bald.
Exactly.
Make a joke of it. It'll make it so nothing hurts.
You mean lean into it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's another old man way to say it.
Yeah.
I used to be very self-conscious about my hairline. And then I was like, well, he ain't doing shit about it. Can't do anything. And then I started leaning like it's whatever.
Now I'm at the point now. I'm at that point where like, it's really not worth it anymore. And I'm like, I think it's going to go soon.
I was looking like that at about 25.
Okay.
So
Okay.
just hold on to it until the dream dies. Go until you have a loved one that goes, you thinking about shaving your head?
No, I'm not going to do that.
Because that's when you're about 3 years too late.
Exactly. That's my point. I should have enough self-awareness, which I'm starting. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was a interesting time that I put my
Well,
foot in
I
my
would
mouth.
say that people that know you,
Which he didn't.
no, but let's say people that have listened to you for any length of time, even through this podcast,
Right.
probably wouldn't be surprised that much.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
In other words, you're not like shocking us.
Right. They're like, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So yeah, we kind of.
Bill does that every day during your class.
It's true. I do have more of these stories that get even worse, but I felt like that was a nice.
No, that's a good one. I like
family-oriented.
Self-deprecating, like just
right.
say that you're just human.
Liv, you got anything?
Nope.
I like how she says.
What a liar. That's a bold-faced
I
lie.
say stuff all the time. Like, that's just a daily basis. I don't know how to communicate. So.
Actually, I have one for him that she did.
Oh, good.
So there was a time in my life where I was a degenerate. I did bad things.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
And there was one of my roommates back in the day that I was involved in these activities.
I've been with Bill for less than a year at this point.
Yeah, before I met Olivia.
It probably was only a couple months.
So I let her know that this is like an old friend, that when I was running around doing stuff, this is one of my friends, but we're cool. Like he's a friend. Mm-hmm. And I had a car issue, and he's like a mechanic, and he was willing to fix the car in our apartment parking lot. He's like, oh, if you go to work, just leave me the key, and I'll just fix it while you're at work. Like, super nice thing to do, right? He offered this. So
I was skeptical.
as he offers this, right in front of him, she looks at me, right? So if you're me and I'm Olivia, the guy is right here. And he's like, yeah, dude, I'll just leave the key and I'll fix it. And she goes.
And she looks at you sideways.
She just looks, not sideways.
The head swivel.
Full on turns and looks at me and goes, are you sure? And I look at her like, kind of like, well, what do you mean? She's like, but didn't he used to, He's standing right there.
He was standing probably like 10 feet away. 5 or 10 feet away.
Much better. Much better. 5-10 feet away. You know why it doesn't matter? Because he could hear and saw her do it. And he goes, what's going on? And I was like, oh, she's just being kind of weird. And she doesn't know how to hide it. She's like, I don't know. I'm just wondering. And then he goes, oh, you don't trust me. He sees right through it. And he's like, oh, never mind. It's all good. And I was like, no. She's just being, and he's like, he's obviously is upset. So.
I was a 20-year-old, okay? I grew up in an area where you could leave your door unlocked, okay? Cars didn't get stolen. Houses weren't broken into.
And that's what we were letting our friend do. So she thought our friend was going to steal our car.
Again.
After he fixed it.
I was not around people.
Isn't that crazy?
Is it crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy. A guy just offered to fix
You notice
our
I'm
car.
not making any no comments at all.
You're a smart man.
I know I am.
Really? You do? You are such a big-headed pig. So that was interesting.
So the whole purpose of this, just to kind of like, look around at people you train with. Yeah. They're probably freaks as well.
They're human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we all say dumb things.
I'm not a freak. You're a freak. I am just a normal man. I put my pants on 2 feet at a time. You know what I mean?
And you have them off quite frequently too, unfortunately.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
You gotta let those puppies breathe.
Your feet?
Shh.
Your legs?
Yes. My hams.
I feel like we should segue.
Okay, let's segue. What do you got? You want to bring something up about your toilet habits?
No. My ongoing saga, we talked about, and this is Brittany's favorite word, is the wearables. She likes that.
Okay.
A fitness tracker.
Right.
I've been using the Apple Watch. I've told you guys about that to kind of monitor my training and readiness to train. Mm-hmm. Something that I knew anyway, but something that's very obvious when I'm watching my scores on the watch is sleep will destroy my readiness to train more so than any kind of exercise. In other words, if I have a night of bad sleep, that's worse the next day for my training than if I just crushed it the night before in training.
Interesting. Or if you ate some garbage the day before, if that won't affect you as much as just having bad sleep.
Yeah, and it's something that I've talked about extensively, how important sleep is, but it's just another little data point here for myself showing just how much it just destroys me.
And
the next
comparing your feeling of like, okay, I don't think I slept very good, or I did sleep well. When you look at how the watch is interpreting it, it seems fairly accurate so far.
Well, I'm not using the watch to interpret my sleep.
Okay.
I know kind of intuitive, I know if I've had woke
so you're
up,
not using that part of it.
No.
Okay.
I'm using the next morning, the heart rate variability function.
Okay. But that seems so that seems to be
big time.
Connecting pretty well.
Big time. Yeah. And the sleep, like we talked about before, is pretty accurate in knowing the amount of sleep, but it's not very accurate in what quality of sleep, right? As far as the wearables are. I'm just saying that when I know I haven't, I've woken up 4 or 5 times at night, restless. I know I just didn't sleep well. That's having a huge impact on that next morning's heart rate variability, much more so than like a heavy training load the night before.
What are you feeling on a day like that? What are you feeling like?
Really just like the energy got sucked out of me.
Even if you have, whether it's coffee or
I still, and I just don't feel as coordinated. Trying to do motor skills and stuff. It's pretty rough.
And so you train 3 times a week, as in jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Do you do some sort of, whether it's strength or something, twice a week?
Once a week for strength mobility.
Okay.
And throughout the week, like for little periods of time, I'll just do some general, I hate to use the word stretching because that's not what it is, but some mobility work that's not as intensive.
So if you are feeling this way, what's the recommendation if it's a jiu-jitsu day?
Yeah. Go in. If you're going to go in and really be disciplined and say, look, I'm not going to do situationals. I'm going to do some drilling. I'm going to work on some I'm really not going to stress the nervous system much.
Okay. Because then it stacks.
It stacks. It does. It accumulates, right? Especially as you get older, the cup is smaller.
Yeah.
It just is. And it overfills quick.
Okay.
Yep.
What if it's one of those other days? All right, do you have to really adjust anything? Is there any worry about adjusting anything? Like a non-jiu-jitsu day? Like if it's a day that you're like, I'm just going to do some mobility stuff, or if it's a strength training day, weightlifting or something, are you going to adjust your protocol on those?
Big time. I'm
on
gonna,
the lifting days, probably.
Big time. I'm a minimize. And I should talk. It'd be really interesting to have a camera come through and watch my strength program anymore. It's completely different than it used to be.
Okay.
It is biasing so much less of those standard powerlifting type lifts, weight training, much more in-range positional strength and things like that, which I think have been a huge carryover for me. I can just tell you, I know this is another topic we're segueing into, but my guard retention and guard recovery is better because I can put my limbs in positions that otherwise they weren't strong in before. I have more confidence in that. So it's been, and I think for injury prevention,
has to be,
yeah, man. I mean, this is the closest I've ever been to doing the full splits, right? And I couldn't even. It's laughable how bad it was before. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, so that'd be a cool thing to maybe kind of vlog, do a little, just kind of show for the YouTube page.
Right. We could like take it down to Aegis Living or something like that, or just let them know like what they could start doing.
Yeah.
Aegis Living is a 85 and up community.
Yeah, right. I gotcha.
Laying it on real thick.
Yeah. No, I got it. It didn't hit hard. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
With working out, we had a question come in, and it had to do with when you're training so hard, you feel like you're gonna puke. What the hell is that?
Oh, I answered this question directly at the academy.
Oh, with the tranny that asked.
But I think it'd be useful for anyone else. Yeah.
I'm wondering, like,
so
what is that like feeling of?
So you think about physiologically what's happening at really, really high training intensities. You're getting hypoxic a little bit. In other words, you're not delivering enough oxygen to your system as much. You also, your digestive processes, the peristalsis, the thing that moves food through.
Okay.
is at a halt, right? Depending on what you ate or if there's anything left in your stomach, your body almost gets into a thing like, okay, this is a flight or fight stress situation. I'm gonna, start expelling things, right? That because it's not going through the normal channels it does through the bowel. It's kind of slowed down the lower esophageal sphincter, the thing that connects the stomach to the esophagus. That's what causes heartburn and stuff like that when that doesn't work. That kind of opens up because you're in a flight or fight, a really hard flight or fight situation. One of the things that happens, gastric emptying just completely grounds to a halt, and pressure starts building up the other way.
Interesting.
You feel like you're going to puke, and a lot of it has to do with the brain, being overheated. The same type of thing can cause nausea, but it's part of the central nervous system's response to that.
If someone is dealing with that regularly, what's something they could kind of look at to help?
Yeah,
like they're eating too early before they digest slow or something.
Especially if they're having some like high fiber content or something like that that doesn't move very quickly.
Like if they train at night, maybe if they have a late lunch, 3:00, it's like
it's still kind of sitting there.
Yeah.
That's going to be rough. Right before too. Drinking a whole bunch of fluid right before, where it still kind of hadn't absorbed well. Yeah, your body doesn't like that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's something you can definitely, dietarily, it's really helpful.
Is that all dependent on the person too?
Yeah.
It's not like
completely does.
Okay.
Some people will be like, no, bro, I can eat whatever. I'm like, what? Okay. Good for you.
But
if you're having a problem with it, that's something you could do.
Is there, we've talked about this before, where I like to have like a little bit of fruit. Like I don't like to eat necessarily.
What kind of fruit though are you doing?
I like either pineapple, watermelon. Those are like my two kind of go-tos.
Well, you look at those types of fruit too.
Yeah.
Right. Those are
watery.
Yeah, exactly. Rapidly digestible.
Okay. So, but like a banana, maybe
not bad. Don't eat, a huge banana, but half a banana or something like that chopped up. Yeah, that'd be fine. Okay. But again, like I know my daughter tells me all the time that if she eats anything like 3 hours before training, that's a no-go for her.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar to that.
Yeah.
Okay. So if someone is kind of constantly dealing with it, that's probably the first place to check.
Oh, the dietary, yeah, for sure, absolutely, because that's you're like I said, peristalsis and gastric emptying kind of shut down during those high stress. Because your body is not going to divert energy into digestion and things like that when it has to do a flight or fight response. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Gotcha. I mean, speaking of fight or flight, we had another question that kind of goes down that road.
Okay.
Yeah, you've been to a gas station, right?
Yeah, well, this morning, I believe it or not. Yeah, I have a vehicle too and a driver's license.
No way.
All by myself.
They let you drive still?
Yeah. Man. I know.
You're the kind of guy that probably drives a Buick, huh?
You know what I drive.
That's true. I'm just going to bring up the message here because it was worded a very specific way, if I remember right. He told me he hopes I shit myself during the podcast, which is nice.
Wow.
What's your opinion on the gas station stamina pills?
Oh my God. Well, you're taking your life in your hands, first of all.
Why?
Gas station pills in general, who knows what's in them?
Are they like not super regulated or something?
Yeah, no.
So do you know what they typically are?
I have no idea.
Oh.
And I don't go in there and get them.
Bullshit.
When you're talking about, are you talking about athletic performance endurance?
I'm talking about the ones that got
the aphrodisiac?
Yeah. That's the ones.
Those.
Yeah, those are the ones that
you know a large proportion of them actually had Viagra in them.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
Yep. they're like, wow, these things work. I'm like, yep.
So they're like a generic version of Viagra.
No, they were putting them in, just like, remember the GNC controversy years ago where they had this workout supplement. People were like, man, that stuff works amazing.
Yeah.
It had steroids in there.
'Cause it was legit.
Yeah, it's the same kind of deal. They're adulterated, no pun intended. These where they have they're like, oh, all natural enhances your stamina type of things. And then, no kidding, they had the active ingredient of Viagra.
What is it that enhances the stamina? Like what's the mechanism?
Blood
there?
flow.
Blood flow. Mm-hmm. Like it
nitric
to the end organ.
Well,
yes.
Okay. How does blood flow to your member?
Oh my God.
Increase your stamina. I don't understand that.
It's length of time to sustain.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not like heart rate.
No.
That's what I'm thinking of.
I know you're thinking of that. That's not what they mean.
Because like this guy, he wants to take him before jiu-jitsu.
Okay. Well,
you're such a liar.
make sure you tell him, please don't do no-gi. Yeah, no-gi would be a bad idea.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Is this a fake question?
It's a real question.
No, there's not someone though who really wants to take like
No, he was in class today.
those type of pills before.
He was in class and he was in uke half the time until I realized he probably took him before class. And I was like, get out of here, dude. Should I say his name?
No, you should not.
He's sweating so bad right now.
So, when people look at, stamina and,
Yeah.
now if he's really thinking, oh, it's athletic, I'll take him for
I
jiu-jitsu,
think that's genuinely
that type of thing.
why he's
and not realizing that that's not what they mean by that. They mean in a sexual nature.
sexual stamina.
Right. Which usually just means increasing blood flow.
Okay. Is there a way to redirect that blood flow?
No.
Like, let's say those are.
It's systemic. It's not going to be, you can't just be like, like, how would you do that?
Well, because those pills, you have to, like, swallow them, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you did suppository or something like that.
So you want it to go to your butt?
No, I'm not saying it's going to go to your butt. Like, you have butt stamina.
Oh, my God, dude.
But
Power
maybe,
bottom.
but maybe it hits a little different.
I don't know.
What if you did a little bit of that devil dust and snorted it? Do you think it would, like, go right into the blood-brain barrier? And, like, you'd...
Bill's just saying stuff that makes sense.
No.
You talking about cocaine?
No, I'm saying snorting some of these pills.
Okay, only
Oh, you
certain
said, I
things
don't know what you're
cross
talking
the
about.
blood-brain
Well,
barrier,
that's
Bill.
how you typically take cocaine.
Right.
And I'm saying, like, if you took it in the same way.
You're asking me questions like I should know. Right?
You're a well-versed diver that had naked dudes on your shoulders.
Yeah,
I figure you know a little bit about it.
And the doctor, right? So
Yeah.
that I
You've had
automatically
those
know that
digits
if you,
up dudes' butts more than anybody I know.
well,
Oh my gosh, Bill. You're
know.
the worst.
Why?
Because
as I always tell people, if you aren't happy, just put 2 in there and ask for a second opinion.
Gosh, you're a monster.
Yeah. I have a story about that too, but it's very inappropriate
oh
to say.
dear, I don't want to know that
Yeah.
one.
Actually, I have an embarrassing story about that. So I went to the urologist, and I had low testosterone, and I was pretty young. I was in my 20s and had low testosterone. It was really low.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, well, this is like, I think the first time, yes, this is my first experience going to a urologist and getting tested. So I didn't really know what to expect. You know what I mean? I think I'm 26, maybe, right in there. And he's like, so your testosterone's, it was like 100 and something. And he's like, so he was convinced I did steroids as a high schooler or something.
Because your levels were suppressed.
Yeah. So it was bad.
Sure.
Especially for the age. And I was like, no, man. I was like, okay. And they had a lab there. So I just waited like 30 minutes, and they got results like really quickly. So they drew my blood, did the testing right there, and then boom, he could come back and talk to me about it. I was like, no, man, I didn't ever take steroids. He's like, okay. Once he was convinced that I hadn't, he had to go to the next talking point of what could be causing such low testosterone in a 27-year-old. And he goes, okay, well, go ahead and turn around and drop him. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And he was like, yeah, just go ahead and he like did his little finger, and like he's kind of like waving it down, like waving my pants to come down. And at this point, I am shocked. I'm a normal, stereotypical man that does not go to the doctor ever, right? Especially at that time. Just I don't go. If I feel sick, if I broke something, I can't go to the doctor. So this is literally like my first time going to a doctor
In a long time.
And he wants to touch my butt. Right? And I don't even know what to think at this moment.
Did he at least give you a gown?
No.
That's rude.
Thank you.
Can I at least get some privacy?
I'll leave a review for him.
Now, did he do side lying, or were you just kind of bent
standing.
over? Oh,
He
rough.
just said, all right, spread them.
Oh no!
And I hear
Pop.
a glove.
Gosh,
I wish I could.
Yeah.
We had something, but imagine like snapping a rubber band on your wrist.
Yeah.
That was the glove going
Yeah.
on. I don't even understand what's about to happen, but I do know what's about to happen. And I was like, I thought this was when you hit 50.
40.
That too.
Oh, 40.
40.
Uh-oh.
So it was a digit check, I guess you could say. And I guess the whole reason was because you might have like a tumor on your butt or something.
It's checking your prostate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's common to like.
That seems like a very low yield physical exam test for low testosterone, dude.
I was looking pretty good.
Feels like
In other words,
this is not what I
that
want
wouldn't
here.
be the first thing I would have done.
It was weird when I walked down. I saw the guy getting on a transit bus, like a community transit. I was like, who the hell is that guy? That's a janitor.
If I was your doctor, I would have done some other tests first before we looked at that.
Yeah, you would have done the cough test for sure.
No.
Yeah, you would. Get your hands on the boys. Turn to the left and cough, big boy.
Well, I mean, actually, in that age group, testicular cancer is much higher rate of prevalence. Prostate cancer is very, very low at that age group. I mean, incredibly low.
Well, that's scary.
In other words, I don't know why you got that test for that reason.
Good to know. Well,
Bill's been sexually harassed now.
I'm a survivor.
Because in the military, at age 40, when they come in for their annual physicals, that's part of the physical, okay? And that's the reason why. You get the prostate-specific antigen. Yeah, look at him over there.
I'm a survivor.
I know. Well, it sounds a little, I don't know, it sounds a little weird.
I got me too. It is what it is.
It just, what's funny, though, to me, is that, the guys would come in over 40. I'm like, all right, man. I'm like, this is part of your exam. Over 40, we got to do it. And they get this accusatory stare. And I finally would say, look, do you think I got up this morning? Like, oh, yay. I get to go do digital rectal exams today. You know what I mean? Like I'm really getting something out of this. Ugh.
That's a funny kind of like accusation.
No, I'm just saying, when they were like that, like I want to. I'm like, this is part of the thing, man.
Right.
I'm like, there's a guy down the hall that has big knuckles, Iowa farm boy, that's now a doctor. If you want to go down there, no, you're good.
There's an ex-D1 football player. He's
exactly. Yeah.
You want that guy.
Right. So that the whole thing, with yours, that's a little weird. I would have done a different kind of workup on you at that age.
Yep, that happens. And he just grabs the box of tissues,
throws them at you,
sets them right next to me, and goes, I'll be back. It felt like a scene in Pulp Fiction.
By the way, if you ever have to have this done again,
I'm not calling you.
No, I'm just giving you some advice.
Okay.
Request that you lay on the table on your side.
Like a colonoscopy?
Yes.
Why?
It's a lot better.
What do you mean by better?
Okay, in other words, when you're standing and all those pelvic floor muscles are flexed because you're standing,
And a
that's
little
not
nervous.
the funnest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Right? So that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, it was. Yeah, he just set that tissue box next to me,
That's
and
so disturbing.
Yeah.
Not very good bedside manner.
No.
I didn't even understand, and he was like, "Oh, and I think he maybe said you can clean up or something like that." And I was like, "Oh, I'm a prostitute." And there was like jelly. I thought I shit myself.
Yep.
I 100% did. I was like, "Oh, I just defecated on this guy."
I'm just thinking in my head right now what you're going to call the episode today. Just like, dude, what the hell? It's like, did you go off the rails? Yes, we did.
I didn't plan on telling that story.
No, I think it's useful.
Yeah.
You don't talk about that kind of thing.
That's true.
You know?
Guys, go get checked.
No.
Lay on your side.
I'm just saying women have it worse, but okay.
Of course.
Yep.
It's not a competition.
Yeah.
Oh, really, though?
But I definitely felt like a guy touched my butt.
He did touch your butt.
In and around my butt.
He did.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't know where to go from there,
I don't either.
to be honest.
No.
You want to talk about white belts?
Yeah.
Jeez, God. It's like, this is a terrible segue today. Like, here's an episode. You should come on our podcast. Here, listen to this one.
Yeah, if anybody wants to come on.
Good God.
We got good stuff to talk about.
You know, some days you're the fly, some days you're the windshield
Yeah.
or whatever.
I think I debated on even telling Olivia that happened.
Yeah.
I don't think I told anybody for a long time.
Nice.
You told me about it. Oh, I remember.
Yeah. Because I was just like, that, I don't even.
It was a traumatic event.
It kind of messed me up a little bit. Yeah.
You have some PTSD.
Then I went back the next week.
It's like all the pieces are falling into place. You're like, hey, so when can I get a follow-up?
Yeah. Can I get on your calendar?
Yeah. What was the question?
You got some
Olivia?
white belts?
Please, something.
Yeah. Okay. So, how do you address a white belt if you're like an upper belt and a white belt tries to coach you, how do you address that?
Speaking from a black belt perspective?
Or, I mean, any upper belt. Basically, like purple through black. Or even brown through black. Doesn't really matter, but...
And a white belt?
Who has, like, brand new, just started training.
So-
or, like a white belt. And they're trying to correct or teach you or coach you or whatever. How would you handle that situation?
Well, the context of it. So let me be charitable here. It would be, I would receive it well if the person was like a high-level wrestler, came into jiu-jitsu, and we were doing double legs as practice. Then I'd be very receptive to someone's higher level of expertise.
Yeah.
Assuming we're not talking about that, and you're talking about like jiu-jitsu specific,
Yeah.
You should probably handle it. It should definitely be addressed and say, hey, you could even ask them, so how long have you been training? Or do you have previous experience? Because I was just wondering, because you're coaching me through this, I was wondering
And
how much you've done.
Like a retard.
No, I wouldn't even say that. I just, just to be like, see if they got the hint there that, know.
That I'm your father.
Well, no, but you're going in somewhere where people have higher levels of experience.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't, that's just weird.
Yeah, I think definitely I agree. If there's someone that, they got good wrestling experience or
Or
judo
black belt or something, right?
Yeah, or something, and there was something applicable,
Yeah.
to like the brown belt or purple belt or something that has like a really crappy whizzer, and
Or whatever,
and the guy's like wrestling up on him, and it's like, okay, you could have a better whizzer if you did this.
Yeah, I'm all about that. Yeah.
If it's more of like
What, some white belt watch a YouTube video or something?
Well, I think what can happen is when you're newer, and maybe you've been training for a couple months now, and you have a little bit of success against an upper belt, maybe it's situationals, right? Maybe it's sparring. You don't realize how much upper belts are working on stuff, and that's why they're even rolling with you, is because an upper belt, a lot of the time, not all the time, but at least from my experience, often will roll with, let's say, a white belt, because they want to start practicing certain moves or options off of certain positions with lesser skilled people, because as the skill goes up, the harder it is to apply the technique from the very get-go.
Like a new thing you're trying to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If, I try a new guard, or maybe it's a guard I've always played, but I'm trying a new setup within that system on you, it's going to be extremely hard to even get there because it's already a fight.
You're going to get shut down right away.
To even get to the point that I want to work will be such a struggle, and I might not even get there, right? To the position I even want to work. So then as you go down, whether it's belt levels or even just skill, then we have the ability to be like, I can kind of force my way into collar sleeve, right?
Yeah.
Or X guard. It's hard to get X guard on you because you pass a certain way. You pass on your knees a lot. Mm-hmm. How am I going to get X guard on a black belt that passes on his knees? It's going to be super hard. I'm going to have to do a lot of things just to get there. And now the round's 3/4 way over.
Right.
Rather than, okay, well, there's this white belt here. I want to work X guard. I can pretty much force that position from the get-go and now do it for the next 4 minutes.
So you think they're misinterpreting
I think
that?
if when a white belt does that, they don't realize that, why isn't this brown belt like doing this? And then they give them advice after, hey, if you just held this grip a little bit better, or whatever the hell they're saying.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have passed, or I wouldn't have got this position, or they're giving them tips, and it's like, yeah, that's what called traps are.
Yeah. Yeah, you still need to address it because they may say something to someone that's not going to take it as well or diplomatically.
That's the thing. How do you address that?
I would direct it back at them and just ask them like, well,
I don't
I would
even
ask
know
them,
your name.
No, I would just say, hey, I'm like, well, have you trained before? Or, just to get an idea, like, because
What
I'm
if they say, well, just 3 months?
Yeah, I'd be like, so, I'm just curious where you're getting the information to kind of correct what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Just, try to keep it at that level instead of being like, how dare you correct me type of thing, and just to get them to really self-reflect a little bit. Because sometimes I think even white belts don't know what they don't know.
And what if they go, well, I saw it on YouTube.
Well,
I
right.
saw it on Instagram.
Sure. And and then you can say,
from a world-class black belt.
And you can say, there's a reason why jiu-jitsu takes a long time to develop skill set, and it just takes years and years, all these hours on the mat, and those of us been doing this for a long time are kind of know these fundamentals pretty well. So, I'm just curious to see what you're bringing to this to me right now. I've been training for 3 months, without just being a total D-bag, but then hopefully they get like, oh, sorry about that.
That's a good elder statesman response.
Yeah.
If I could give more of a youthful,
Immature
response.
I know what that would be.
What's that?
No, go ahead though. I want to hear what you're going to say.
I think when they give you said advice, you go, oh, thank you. You want to do the next round again?
Here we go. There we go.
I was going to say that you smashed.
That's a way to do it too, though.
Yeah.
That's a way to do it too. And that's not I think that's legit too. Because then, then you can be like, that way it's just another way of saying.
And then if you have the ability, do literally the opposite of what they did, what they told you to do, and still smash.
I know. Some people just don't know any better or come into things with just poor social skills. And,
that's true.
And sometimes they just have to be. I really like to give the people the benefit of the doubt as much as possible, and just try to kind of bring them along. And then maybe 6 months later, they're like, you know what, I was a real idiot back then. Type, when they have that self-realization that, because the longer I can just tell you, and I'm sure you know this too, as a black belt, I am very well aware of how much I don't know. Yeah. I mean, to the point where it actually makes me nervous a little bit. You kind of
realize that almost at purple.
Yeah.
And then brown, you're like, oh my goodness. And then black, you're like, okay, this is.
Well, you've reconciled yourself. It's a lifelong pursuit of knowledge, right? Yeah. And there's always somewhere to improve. I always look at the black belt, my analogy, and I said this during last December when I got promoted. I think it's like graduating medical school. That doesn't make you an experienced doctor. Mm-hmm. You've gone through and you've gotten the bare bones to do something and not kill anybody, right. Perhaps.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of learning left to do, but you have, these years of education, so to speak. And that's the way I look at it, because I can tell you, being a doctor now over 20 years, what I know now compared to what I did as a brand new doctor is crazy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just keep that in mind, especially those listening to you. If you look at a black belt like the all-knowing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you, just the learning curve just gets steeper, man.
Right. And I don't want people to think that we're saying that you can't learn anything from a lower belt. That's literally. I've had, I think Kieran was the last person. He's a blue belt.
Yeah.
That asked me something or like corrected me on something. I think it was him. And he was right.
Yeah.
I know Olivia's done it. Shout out to Olivia.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I think too, and I should say this because I don't think every time a white belt wants to show or teach or correct like that, it's out of
malice or something.
Yeah, malice or ego. Yeah. Sometimes I think they're just excited and they saw something really cool and they're like, oh, hey, actually you can do it this way. And that doesn't mean that they're an expert, but I think sometimes they get just very excited and want to show something.
And that's why I asked that question, because sometimes they will say, oh, I saw this on a YouTube video, and then you can put it in context what they're doing. Like, oh, well, show me what you learned.
Yeah.
And then we can talk from there. I think that's is not as confrontational, it kind of encourages that interaction. But at the same time, also, it's probably kind of, you wouldn't go to a new academy or somewhere and start trying to show the upper belt something.
Right.
It could get them into trouble. Yeah. And you could just say, hey, this is cool. I appreciate what you did. But just so you know, there's some people that aren't as receptive to that kind of thing.
When I drop in places, I don't even show anything. Even if it's a blue belt and I'm not even going to. I mean, maybe if they ask, but I'll still probably be like,
go talk to your professor. Yeah,
But if it's something short and sweet, hey, how'd you do that? I'd be like, okay, here you go.
Yeah. No, right. for sure. That's what I mean. I think you're right, Olivia. That's a really good point too. So not looking at it as, and it's contextual. Depends on who the person is and how it's done, and you can tell if someone's just kind of a real cocky person. And I don't see that as much though. I don't know. Definitely not in our academy. I don't really see it. I don't see it a whole lot at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think this white belt thing is actually doesn't happen a whole lot. Even. Yeah, I don't think it's super prevalent, but we know someone that dealt with it recently. So
oh, okay.
That's why we brought it up.
Ah, gotcha.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like Chris was saying, it's like we have a chill academy, so we're not gonna be nasty or about it. But there are some places
they can
where
be kind of mean.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to do that. They'd be like, how dare you?
Yeah, I heard a funny story about a gym. I know some people at, and there was a parent that was yelling at their kid during kids class, and just because their kid was mounted by another kid,
Does this parent train?
No.
They need to shut up.
Right. And they were just barking from across the gym. they had a daughter, and they're like telling her to get out and just stand up, and like the silliest like bar UFC like stuff that you hear.
The uneducated advice.
Yeah. Just push them off you. This kind of stuff. So the instructor, which is about 210 pounds, 2nd degree black belt. He class is about to end, and he points at the dad and goes, "You down." Makes him get on the mats. He mounts him for the next 10 minutes and says, "Okay, get up." And literally for 10 minutes.
I absolutely love that story, by the way.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
And I can only imagine the mounting pressure that the hips
I
were
can't
probably.
even.
The guy probably felt like me in that room with that doctor. Just getting his butt penetrated.
I don't know, dude.
Through the front, though.
I wouldn't have gone there, but it probably was uncomfortable.
I did go there.
I know you did.
Yeah, so for 10 minutes. And then after he told him, he was like, maybe you don't just tell your kid to, like, get up when you don't even understand what's going on.
Well, the parents that are trying to live vicariously through their children, automatically kind of sets me off, because it first puts this undue pressure on. And let me tell you, I have without getting into my own stuff, I have some history with that from my own parents.
Yeah,
not my one parent.
Right.
But that hits me. I have zero tolerance for that, especially some dude that's never trained.
Yeah.
It just is crazy. It's just like, you don't know how hard that is.
Right.
And to tell your kid that, who's trying their best, they don't want to just sit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a terrible, that's a hard situation to just get used to in staying calm. Mm-hmm. When especially you're just starting as a kid and someone's mounted you and all that pressure on you.
Oh, yeah.
To have a parent that didn't know what the hell they're talking about, like shaming you into, that just drives me crazy. That story makes me very happy.
Yeah. It was awesome.
I love that.
It was great. There was another story that I had heard. So we used to have a guy that would, very long time ago, his name was Mamazinho. Mm-hmm. Very macho Brazilian dude that used to teach up in Washington here. And Andrew spent some time under him, I believe, too. And I heard a story from, not Andrew, but from someone else that trained under him, that, because he's like straight Brazilian, speaks very little English, right? And we're talking 15, 16 years ago. Mm-hmm. Jiu-jitsu is very rare at this point. Like, it's,
Oh, in the Northwest.
Yeah. If you see, I think it was 16 or so years ago, maybe 17 at this point. But if you saw a purple belt, like, it was kind of a big deal.
Right.
If you saw a black belt, it's like, holy smokes, like, this is very rare. Well, a guy walks in, another Brazilian guy, and he says he's from Renzo Gracie's in New York.
Yeah.
And he walks in, and he gets dressed, and he's got a black belt. And Mamazinho's like, "Oh, you're a black belt. Where at?" And he goes, "Under Renzo in New York."
That's a serious black belt, dude.
Oh, shit. Okay. That's awesome. Well, the guy maybe didn't know that Mamazinho's close friends with, at the time, Ryan and Renzo. Ryan is Renzo's brother.
Oh, yeah.
And he calls him.
I bet.
Right there. And goes, "Hey, there's this dude, whatever his name is. You black belt?" And he goes, "No, porra caralho. He's purple belt." Yes. He never got promoted to black belt.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You don't do that shit.
No. And Mamazinho, as said, is very macho. And he rolls with him, and I guess just slammed him straight, punched him in the face. Like, I don't know if it was open hand or how hard, or he gave him a little bit of a beating, and then shoves a purple belt on him and goes, "You're not a black belt, you're a purple belt." And then the guy literally continued training as a purple belt. He didn't like leave and disappear. He was like, "Okay, I'm sorry."
That's a sociopath.
Isn't
right
that
there.
crazy?
Yeah, dude. That's weird.
It's crazy. Like, the mindset to like get beat up, get caught in a lie in front of everybody, and then still train is kind of interesting. That's an odd dynamic.
You know what, though? This comes back from when the American commercialization of martial arts, like all the taekwondo schools, the belt, they're just giving, not all of them, but they're giving belts away for money, basically. You know what I mean? You go through and you get a belt.
For sure.
You have 12-year-old black belts. Right.
Yeah.
That mindset of like someone says, well, I'm a black belt, and it's like, that's in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
it's very obvious that you're not.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Especially when you happen to say like from a gym that the guy's like actually friends with.
Well, and that's a tight-knit community, especially. There's not, and even at that time.
I mean, at that time, I can't even imagine how many black belts were even in Washington.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, exactly.
Like 20 or something? Maybe less?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a tight-knit community, and you don't just, that's just, that's one thing you don't say.
Yeah. So that was kind of a funny story.
That is very, just people.
It made me happy just to know that like there's people out there that would do. I wouldn't handle it in the same way, but it's nice to know that there's people out there that would.
I'm happier with the other story though.
Oh, the parent thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that was just genuine.
I'm just like, I should high five that black belt, dude. That's amazing.
Yeah. That's all we got.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on a podcast. If it actually happens and the schedule goes through, we'll let you guys know. But I'll be on another podcast that should be pretty cool. It'll be jiu-jitsu related. It's just jiu-jitsu topics.
You guys see who has the star quality because Bill got invited and I certainly did.
It's called The Talent.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could change my name to that, but it's called
We can call you The Talent if you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I would like. And but I'll be dropping plugs and being like, hey, there's this old guy that talks a lot too. Maybe fit him in there. But if that happens, we'll plug that. And but we plan on having other guests on and stuff like that. If you guys got any questions, hit us up on YouTube. Comments.
Yeah. Nope. Let's the vomiting and diarrhea. If we can have other questions.
Why?
I don't know. Let's just so we don't get off on like what we did today.
Oh, that's true. We start talking about bodily fluid.
Yeah, it got rough.
We start talking about my butt, and it gets weird.
Yeah.
Like and follow. Podcast will be out on Wednesday. We're switching to Wednesdays.
Is it Wednesdays?
Well, yeah, we're going to launch on Wednesdays. So not Mondays anymore, Wednesdays. Should have said that in the beginning.
Yep.
Peace out, y'all.
Later.